Voilà. So if you can still all hear me, I assume, yes. So where was I? When you were driving or riding in a vehicle, what did you notice or hear? Of course, focus on the street and all of everything you need to do, but just try to see where you're going and what you're doing, right? And just the sounds around, open the window, it's nice to get a breeze. What do you hear, right? Describe one of your everyday hassles that happens this day, large or small, as we did in the exercise last week. It's nice to revisit that. When this hassle occurs then, what did your senses tell you? One of the hassles I have is if I hear from a certain person, I get like a really tense chest. And that's the sensation I get, right? So do you have that about some of the situations when they happen? If yes, write them down. When this hassle occurs, what did you particularly notice then? As I said, my chest gets really tight, right? And when this hassle occurs, what thoughts were you going through in your head? Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it excitement? Some people have no breath in the chest because they're excited. So what is it about? Check it out. Do the exercise and let me know how you got on. So this is that for the mindfulness exercise. Now we will go over to the meditation. I will read it a bit faster just because of time, but please close your eyes, just really feel it, and we can talk about it later, yeah? It's a loving kindness meditation, which I have retrieved online. It's a guided meditation. You find them online everywhere. This is by John Kabat-Zinn, published on the 18th of March, 2021. And it's called A Radical Act of Love. I think it's a really nice loving kindness meditation, and it talks about a lot of aspects that we have addressed today in our course, in our class, and it wraps up a little bit already with what we have learned last week in week 1. So if you're ready, turn off your cameras. I will leave mine on. I will narrate this loving kindness guided meditation for you, and yeah, just feel it. If you want to do something else, just turn off your camera. No hard feelings, honestly. It's for you. This moment is for you, and you can use it the way you want. So in a dignified sitting posture or lying down, whatever you prefer, bring your awareness to the breath and the body as a whole. Breathe and rest here, establishing a relatively stable platform of moment to moment, awareness riding on the waves of the breath. As we learned last week, you breathe in and out. Do that another time. Breathe in and out. Try to really feel your stomach, your diaphragm getting big and going back together when you do that. Close your eyes. You can breathe in to the count of 4 and breathe out to the count of 6. When you feel comfortable resting with the flow of your breathing, picture someone in your life who loves you or who loved you unconditionally. Evoking and giving yourself over to feeling the qualities of the selfless love and kindness they accorded you, and the whole aura or field of their love for you, right here, right now, breathing with these feelings, bathing in them, resting in the warmth and radiance of their heartfelt embracing of you just as you are, or drinking in the experience that you are unequivocally and unconditionally loved and accepted as you are, without having to be different, without having to be worthy of their love, without having to be particularly deserving. In fact, you may not feel particularly worthy or deserving. That does not matter. It is in fact irrelevant. The relevant fact is that you were or are loved. Their love is for you, just as you are. For you, for who you are now, already, and perhaps always have been. Allowing your own heart to bask in these feelings, to be cradled in them and trained into them, to be rocked moment by moment in the swinging, rhythmic beating of the loving heart of another person, and in the cadence of your own breathing, allowing your heart to be held and bathed in this way by the warmth of this radiant, pulsing field of loving kindness. If you encounter some difficulty in bringing to mind or conjuring up such a person from memory in this moment, then see if you can imagine someone treating you in that way. And imagine with great vividness the feelings of love and kindness and regard. And that can actually serve equally well in this practice. Whenever you feel ready, see if you can become the source as well as the object of these same feelings. In other words, take on these feelings for yourself as if they were your own rather than those of another, lingering as best you can with the rhythmic beating of your own heart, cradling in your own heart these feelings of love and acceptance and kindness for yourself beyond judgment of any kind. Just basking in feelings of loving kindness akin to the all-loving embrace of a mother for her child, where you are simultaneously both the mother and the child, resting here in these feelings as best as you can, from moment to moment, bathing in your own kind regard, your own complete acceptance of yourself as you are right here in this very moment. Letting this feeling be self-sustaining, natural, in no way forced or coerced. Rest in loving kindness. In resting here in this field of loving kindness, this embrace of loving kindness, you might find it useful to whisper to yourself the following phrases, or hear them being whispered to you by the wind, by the air, by your breath, by the world, or even asserted more strongly with great feeling. You can repeat them after me if you want. You can repeat them in your mind, or as I said, they can just be said to you by my voice, by the wind, by anything you want. May I be safe and protected and free from inner and outer harm. May I be happy and contented. May I be healthy and whole to whatever degree possible. May I experience ease of well-being. Gently at your own pace, over and over, inwardly whispering, inwardly hearing, feeling, sensing, affirming. May I be safe and protected and free from inner and outer harm. May I be happy and contented. May I be healthy and whole to whatever degree possible. May I experience ease of well-being. May I be safe and protected and free from inner and outer harm. May I be happy and contented. May I be happy and whole to whatever degree possible. May I experience ease of well-being. At first, it might feel artificial, right? To be saying such things to yourself. It's kind of like the mirror example I was talking to you before, or even thinking about them. After all, who is this I? Who is wishing this? And who is the I who's receiving these wishes? Ultimately, both vanish into the feeling of being safe and free from harm in this moment, into the feeling of being contented and happy in this moment, the feeling of being whole in this moment, since you already are whole, the feeling of resting in ease of well-being, far from the disease and fragmentation we endure so much of the time. This feeling, this very feeling, is the essence of loving kindness. But you may object. If this is a selfless practice, why am I focusing on myself, on my own feelings of safety and well-being, on my own happiness, right? But you might object, if this is a selfless practice, why am I focusing on myself, as I said? One response would be because you are not separate from the universe that gave rise to you, and so are as worthy an object of loving kindness as anything else or anyone else. Your loving kindness cannot be either loving or kind if it does not include yourself. But at the same time, you don't need to worry. It's not limited to yourself because the field of loving kindness is limitless. If you like, you can think of the loving kindness practice as if we've been engaging it up to this point on a relatively level, at least, as tuning your instrument before you play it out in the world. In this case, tuning the instrument is itself a huge act of love and kindness, not a means to an end. So once you have established a fairly stable field of loving kindness around yourself and having lingered here for a time in the feeling of being held and cradled and rocked in its embrace, you can intentionally expand the field of the heart, just as we sometimes expand the field of awareness in the mindfulness practice. We can expand the field of loving kindness around our own heart and our own being, inviting other beings, either singly or en masse, into this growing embrace. This is not always so easy to do. Trust me, I struggle with that sometimes. And so it's helpful to start with one person from whom you naturally harbor feelings of loving kindness. And only if you care to explore it. Otherwise, you can simply keep embracing yourself as the recipient of your own love and kindness, either using the phrases we are already using or modifying them to suit yourself. So open your heart. So if you're open to expanding the field of loving kindness out from your own heart and your own body and your own being in your mind's eye, in your heart, evoking from now the feeling or an image of an individual, a person for whom you have great affection, a group, someone you were close to emotionally. Can you hold this person or even animal or anything, object, in your heart with the same quality of loving kindness that you have been directing towards yourself? Whether it is a child or a parent, a brother, a sister, grandmother, or other relative, near or distant, close friend or cherished neighbor, singly or together, a pet. Breathing with them or him or her in your heart. Holding them in your heart. Feel your heart. Put your hand on your heart if you want to really feel it. For me, that helps me a lot as well, to just really connect, because it's always distracting to meditate. So try that. Imagining them in your heart as best as you can, because just to let you know, this practice is so intrinsically powerful that none of the imagining of yourself or others needs to be very vivid for it to be hugely effective. And wishing them well. May she, he, they be safe and protected, free from harm, from inner and outer harm. May she, he, they be happy and contented. May she, he, they be healthy and whole to whatever degree possible. May she, he, they be happy, ease of well-being. Linger moment by moment in the field of loving kindness within your own heart. With these phrases as you voice them silently to yourself, and even more with the feeling behind them, repeating them in order over and over, not mechanically, not like a mantra, but mindfully, with full awareness, knowing what you're saying, feeling the attention behind the feeling, the intention, the feeling behind each phrase. May she, he, they be safe and protected and free from inner and outer harm. May she, he, they be happy and contented. May she, he, or they be healthy and whole to whatever degree possible. May she, he, or they experience ease of well-being. Here, whenever you're ready, if you care to, you can invite into the field of the loving heart those for whom your relationship is more neutral, or even people you don't know at all, or who you have only heard of secondhand, friends of your friends, for instance. Strangers, right? And again, cradling him or her or them in your heart, wishing them well. May she, he, or they be safe and protected and free from inner and outer harm. May she, he, or they be happy and contented. May she, he, or they be healthy and whole to whatever degree possible. May she, he, or they experience ease of well-being. If you find the mind wandering, which happens to me all the time as well, or you find yourself struggling at a certain point, just as in cultivating of mindfulness, as we learned last week, just notice what's going on in the mind. If you find the mind wandering, just perhaps feeling the sense of struggling in maybe even maintaining your focus of your concentration. So simply over and over again, including yourself in the field of loving kindness and coming back to the phrases whispered that we have said, spoken inwardly to yourself, resting in the feeling radiation out of those phrases and underneath that, out of the heart, moment by moment, with whoever it is, singly or together, to whom you're sending loving and kindness. This should bring you back, or just remind yourself of the breathing. And from here, if you care to, you can once again expand the field of awareness to include one or more individuals who are actually problematic for you in one way or another, with whom you share a difficult past, perhaps, who may have harmed you in one way or another, who, for whatever reason, you consider to be more of an adversary or an obstacle than a friend. This does not mean that you are being asked to forgive them for what they may have done to you to hurt you or to cause you or others harm. You're simply recognizing that they too are human beings, that they too have aspirations, that they too, in all likelihood, desire to be happy and safe. So as best as you can, and only to the degree that you feel ready for it, that is important, or at least open to experimenting with it, extending loving kindness to them as well for all the difficulties and problems lying between you. May she, he, or they be safe and protected and free from inner and outer harm. May she, he, or they be happy and contented. May she, he, or they be healthy and whole to whatever degree possible. May she, he, or they experience ease of well-being. For me, this is really particularly difficult for some people, but I do it and it helps me because it helps you let go. Just as with this cultivation of mindfulness, where we can rest with one object of attention or expand the field to include varying levels of objects of attention, so in this loving kindness practice, we can linger for days, weeks, months, or years at different levels of the practice, all of which are equally valid and equally healing, and all of which ultimately include each other. So turning your attention inward for a moment. So if you wish to cultivate loving kindness and direct it only towards yourself now in this period of practice, that is perfectly fine. And you can just keep and sustain that dimension of loving kindness practice underneath my voice and what I'm saying. Or if you care to direct loving kindness only towards those who you know and love, or even one person over and over again, that is just fine too, whatever works for you. Any level at all at which you care to cultivate and direct loving kindness is fine. It's perfect. And ultimately embodies all the other anyway. For over time, it's likely, since your own capacity for loving, whether you know it or not, is infinite. That is simply the nature of love, that it's limitless, as we said before, and therefore actually an infinite supply that you might find yourself naturally drawn to invite more and more beings into the field of loving kindness, radiating from your own heart and your own being in all directions, inwardly and outwardly. Or you might find at times they just slip in, unbidden somehow. This is interesting to note. If you're not consciously inviting them in, how come they are showing up anyways? And how are they getting in, right? Maybe your heart is bigger and wiser than you think. What do you think? In the spirit of the boundlessness of the heart and of love itself, we can expand the field of loving kindness even further to include our neighbors and neighborhood, our community, our state, our country, the entire world, if you will. You can include your pets, all animal life, all plants life, all life, the entire biosphere, all sentient beings. You can also get very specific and include specific people, even political leaders, in the field of loving kindness. In your field of loving kindness, whatever that means. Difficult as that may be Maybe if you differ strongly with them and find yourself judging them and even their basic humanity harshly. All the more reason for including them. Being human, they are worthy of loving kindness and perhaps will respond to it by softening in ways your mind cannot possibly imagine. And perhaps the same goes for you as well. You can also specifically include in the field of loving kindness of those less fortunate than yourself who are exploited at work or at home. All those who are imprisoned justly or unjustly. All those who are at mercy of their enemies. All those who are hospitalized or sick or dying. All those who are caught up in chaos, who are living in fear, who are suffering in any way or shape or form. Whatever brought them to this point in their lives, just as we do, they all want to experience ease of well-being rather than disease and fragmentation, just as we do. They all want to be happy and contented. They all desire to be whole and healthy. They all desire to be safe and free from harm. So we recognize this way in which we all united in our common aspiration to be happy and not to suffer, and we wish them well. May all beings, near and far, be safe and protected and free from inner and outer harm. May all beings near and far be happy and contented. May all beings near and far be healthy and whole to whatever degree possible. May all beings near and far experience ease of well-being. May all beings near and far be safe and protected and free from inner and outer harm. May all beings near and far be happy and contented. May all beings near and far be healthy and whole to whatever degree possible. And all beings near and far experience ease of all being, of well-being. And it needs not to stop here. Why not include the entire earth in the field of loving kindness? Why not embrace the very earth that is our home? That is an organism in its own right. That is, in a sense, one body, a body that can be thrown off balance by your own actions, conscious and unconscious, in ways that create huge treats to this life it nurtures and to the intelligence embedded within all aspects of that life, animal and plant and mineral that interacts so seemingly in the natural world. And so we can expand the field of the loving heart even further, the field of our loving kindness. Once again, to include this time, the planet as a whole, and our beyond that the entirety of the universe in which our earth is merely an atom and we not even a quark. May our planet and the whole universe be safe and protected and free from inner and outer harm. May our planet and the whole universe be happy and contented. May this planet and the universe be healthy and whole. May our planet and the whole universe experience ease of well-being. So, in the final moments of our time together, rest here in the radiance and luminosity of your own intrinsic beauty, your own intrinsic love, your own intrinsic kindness. Whether you are using words or not, at whatever level you choose or intuitively you are drawn to, radiating loving kindness inwardly and outwardly, near and far. And as this formal period of practicing together came to an end, with the sound of me just saying we have concluded, I will not do a bell now. Normally you can do a bell, but I can snap if you want. Affirm inwardly that this practice can be nourished on a regular basis. So I will share it with you over email. And it will also be on YouTube, so you can listen to my voice again if you like it. You're drawn to keep it alive and vibrant, just as can all the other practices we have been engaging in last week, in together and affirming for ourselves and for others. If you like the old Navajo saying, which I extend to you now, may you walk in beauty. May you and all beings near and far walk in beauty. This concludes our guided meditation for today, which I think is just so beautiful. I really love it very much, by John Kabat-Zinn, published on the 18th of March, 2021. So thank you, John, for sharing this piece of love with all of us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. So yeah, this kind of concludes this week. Let me see in the chat section. I saw some Listening to my own heartbeat, lying flat, meditating on the floor was so beautiful. Thank you, Akemi. From Ipti, my meditation of this morning was loving and kindness, and I love how synchronicity put it back to finish my day. Thanks for your generosity and for your voice. May you all be safe. May you all be happy. May you all be healthy. May you all live with ease. And from Anita, thanks, Tessy. Great meditation. That's so sweet. Thank you, everyone. So before I let you go, I just tell you what to expect next week. We have week three next week, and it's all about sleep. So next week, we will explore the beauty of sleep. There's quite a few books that I have been reading about, so I will try to give you a little recap of all of that. We will go through all kinds of new things to explore. A guided meditation, you will have more exercises. The exercise I gave you this week and last week, try to do it as much as you can. Try to do the exercise with the mirror, being naked, if you can. Start with 2 minutes a day and increase it. Get to know yourself. Yes, you will feel silly, but you will get to know yourself inwardly and outwardly, just the way you are in your own beauty. And yes, anyone, any questions before I let you all go after your Thursday and enjoy your evening? Any last questions? Anything you particularly liked? If yes, just shoot it or write it in the chat or write me privately if you want. I will also stop the recording so that is not recorded.